This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we are going to look at some viewer mail, and I want to start with this book that came to us. This is very lovely. This is from Cristian Cîrciu. This is called Snow, Volume 2, and I will read you a little bit of his note, which says, "Hello, Ted. My name is Cristian, and I want to thank you for the videos and mail time. They are an inspiration for us photographers to create photo books and share our art. This photo book was born from my love for snow. I use snow as the theme that holds the book together, just like composers use a theme in their symphonies, and they return to it under different variations. Snow is in every photo. It is the repetitive visual element, but what varies in the photos is how snow interacts with people, birds, trees, objects, streets, creates a special mood. I have many snow photos in my archive, and it was very difficult to select, so I made 2 photo books. This is Volume 2. Unfortunately, in recent years, we haven't had so much snow. Please tell me what you think about the book and what you like about it, and give me some constructive feedback. Thank you, and I hope you will continue with mail time in the future. Cristian." Cristian, I have to say, this is very nicely done. I really love your style with the whole thing with snow and these heavy black and white images. And what I really like about it is that you have such a high contrast on here, and it creates a really interesting look. You know, when we talk about black and white photography, especially, we talk about dynamic range. We basically define that with zones, as Ansel did with the zone system. You have like 2 zones in here. It's black and white. There's not a lot of midtones. And I think it has a really cool effect to it. I'm really glad you decided to do 2 books. And the only advice for you I would have is keep doing this. It looks great. With snow, I think one of the things that makes this, or gives it a little bit of depth, is when you switch over to the night images and some of the street stuff, and it's less black things on white backgrounds. You kind of flip it and inverts. And I think that's a really cool technique to use in here. You made the composition analogy earlier, and I think you get a lot of that in here. So I like that. And I also kind of wonder what other high contrast subjects you could probably mix into your repertoire as well. But man, this is really nice. I will link up to Cristian's work in the show description below, as well as everybody else in this video. So remember to support your colleagues. And man, I really dig it. This is very cool. All right, so next up is this lovely little book. I really like this project. This is called Clorinda. And this comes to us from Pedro, who sent me a note in here, and I'll explain while I'm showing this to you. This is very cool. "Hi, Ted. I hope you're doing well. My name is Pedro Dantas dos Reis. I'm a photographer from Portugal, and I've been following your work for quite a while. I enjoy the way you talk about photography with curiosity, care, and heart. I'm reaching out to share something very personal with you. I recently finished a book about my mother, Clorinda. She passed away in 2004, and I guess this book is a way of remembering her. Maybe it's a form of grief, maybe it's just memory. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. My mother and father died 35 days apart from each other, and it was a very difficult period for me. I found most of the pictures in a drawer after she passed and thought that it might be amazing to do a book on her. This book is made mostly of ID-style photos of her arranged in chronological order, mixed with pages from her agendas and some photos I took myself. Putting it together was a quiet but powerful process and a way to stay close to her. I'm 56 years old, and I've been procrastinating on making this book for quite some time, but now it is finally done. I hope you enjoyed the book. Thanks for the beautiful work you share. It means a lot to many of us out there. All the best, Pedro." Okay, Pedro, first of all, I absolutely love this. I think this is a wonderful tribute to your mother. I think you put a lot of thought and care into this. I really like the small size of this. I love the idea of using high-D photos in chronological order to see the age progression, your own photographs. There's a lot of emotional content that's in here, and it's very nicely put together. I love the little linen cover. I love the tiny images in here. You kept everything at scale, which has a lot of meaning to it, and that's a whole topic for another day. But I love the fact that you paid attention to the scale on these. Everybody wants to go big with everything all the time, and you did the opposite. The other thing I want to mention that I really like about this, I get a lot of stuff in from people who send me mail, and we get a lot of books, and we get zines. And the zine is very interesting to me. I teach a zine course, and the zine is very flexible in terms of content, but I think a lot of people grapple with that a little bit, and I get asked, what is the difference, or where's that line between when a zine actually becomes a portfolio book? And it is a blurry line because you can do either one. But I like the idea of thoughts and collections of things that maybe it's a lot of anecdotal material. In other words, you didn't take all the images in here, but it's a wonderful collection that makes sense. And so my point is that this is very zine feeling, but it's presented as a book. And I really like that it has kind of the opposite thing, because we get a lot of zines that are trying to be books, and I have a book that is pretty much put together like a zine. Anyway, this is very beautiful, and I want to make one more note in here because I think it's important to people, is that you mentioned the whole idea of grief and coming to terms with something. and a longing for somebody you're very close to. And I totally understand that. And one of the things that I love the most about this is that I think that photography can play a role in some of this. For me personally, and I've lost people close to me, I know it's not the same, but I lost my cat of 20 years earlier this summer, and it was really traumatic for me first couple of days. And what helped, and it always helps when this process goes on, is the power of photographs, and you can remember somebody by much happier times. And I really love that. Another thing that I love that you're doing in here is that not everything is just a picture of your mother. It's place settings. It's this table with the ballerina on it. It's things that are metaphoric that probably remind you of your mother. And I love that. And I tell people this all the time, that the idea of metaphor is very powerful. It's also one of the hardest things to do in anything visual. It's not just photography. You can do it in painting, you can do it in illustration, you can do it in sculpture, but the whole idea of metaphor is the hardest device in terms of visual composition. Anyway, I think you've done such a magnificent job on here. Thank you for sharing this. This is a very personal thing, and I don't feel like I'm doing it much justice, but I really do love it, and you should be really proud of this. I don't know if Pedro is selling this or not, but I will link up. He sent me his Instagram handle and some other information too. Check Pedro out. This is very thoughtfully done. And this is very inspiring to me as a photographer. I think it's a very different approach to something, and it's extraordinarily creative. And I think it's a beautiful tribute to your mother. So anyway, much appreciated. Love it. I have to say, I really love it when strong work comes into mail time. It is inspiring to me, and it's exciting, and it's something fun to share with you guys. And I love it when I see photographers, I think Pedro's example is like this, where they're moving beyond just image to image thinking, and they're starting to look at things as a project, and what are they saying with all this stuff? And I think that's something that's really important. We live in a day and age where, camera videos and all that are the norm, and they get a lot of views, and there's a lot of people who just like to play and collect with the technology, I guess. So I love these when they're really good like this. And anyway, it's very cool. I've got two more that I want to share with you. We've got a wonderful book done in Greece, and I've got a zine here that's really cool. So real quick, I want to give a shout out though to our sponsor this week, who are the always awesome folks over at Squarespace. How easy is it to build an amazing website in a matter of minutes? Squarespace has you covered. It's dead simple. Head over to Squarespace, hit get started. You can start by using Squarespace Blueprint AI and SEO tools, which will give you an impressive website in no time. Something unique because, you're not like other websites. Give your site a name. Next, you can build your homepage. We'll start with a few preset layouts just to get us going. Want to sell products like prints, books, maybe you make a zine? Well, you can feature those on your homepage. Create a few more sections if you want. Let's also give it a color palette. There's a whole bunch to choose from. Just get us started. We can change this all later. Next, let's select the typography choices. Welcome to your website. Everything is set up and it's all ready for you to customize. Squarespace is built on Fluid Engine, the next generation of website design. Select Edit, and Fluid Engine allows you to drag, place, and resize any element on the page. You can snap these to a grid, you can make them float on top of one another, you can freeform however you like. You can even preview and adjust how the site looks on either desktop or mobile. The layouts are independent. Of course, you'll want a portfolio for your work. Creating an image gallery is as easy as dropping a folder of images on your web browser. Once uploaded, you can drag to resort, customize the look, and Squarespace writes all of the code for you. Everything just works and it looks fabulous. Want to sell your own prints, books, or zines? Flexible payments allow you to make the checkout process absolutely seamless when you sell products or services. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, you can offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. You should try Squarespace for yourself. It's absolutely free, no credit card required. Just go to squarespace.com/AOP, sign up for that free trial. If you decide Squarespace is right for you, I can save you an additional 10% on your order by using offer code AOP on checkout. That's right, the code is AOP. So stop procrastinating, go build your website today. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Okay, next up, this is awesome. So this is a little zine that comes to us from Liam Rogers, and he sent me a couple prints here as well, and I'm going to read you a note that's affixed to the back of the crashed car here. Liam writes, "Hello, Ted. I wanted to express my appreciation for your videos. I've been a fan since I was in high school, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and passion for photography over the years. I wanted to share my first zine with you. It's a collection of black and white images I've taken ever since moving to Denver, Colorado. I started shooting strictly black and white since moving here, and I think it's greatly improved my process and how I see the world. I hope that you enjoy it, and I love to know what you think. All the best, Liam." Liam, this is outstanding, and I really appreciate you sharing. First of all, I don't know if anybody noticed here, this is a hand-stitched zine. It fits the nature and the mood of the photos perfectly. It's got a very lo-fi look to it, but it's really nice, and I love the fact that you're willing to do something like this, and I think you have a home run here. The black and white images are very powerful. I love the way they're printed. I love the way they kind of piece together in sort of a stream of conscious narrative here, but it works. And the pairings are really good. I think you've done an outstanding job on here, and I want people to see this and be inspired by it for a couple different reasons. First of all, I love the handmade tactile look to it. The fact that Liam probably could have gone to a bigger printer and had this very professionally done on glossy paper. He did not. This is very simply done, and it's not perfect bound. It's not stapled. It is stitched and with a piece of thread. It's awesome, and I love that. It adds to the vibe that you're putting off with your work here, which I absolutely love. And it's great, and I love the choice to shoot in black and white. I love shooting in black and white myself. I keep saying that I'm going to do something where, I just go for like a month or a year or something, and that's all I do is black and white. And I just love that idea. It's just different now because, back in the old days when we shot film and that was the only option that we had, you'd buy black and white film. There was no turning back. And today we essentially work in color and make it black and white when we feel like it, or if it couldn't work. And anyway, so I really love what you're doing here, man. This is fantastic. I will link up to Liam's Instagram, etc. below. Thank you for sending. All right, so next up is this lovely book that comes to us from Jim Covello. Full disclosure, I know Jim. He was a student in my last zine workshop. This is not the project he did in the zine workshop. This is something that he sent me previously, but I want to share with you. This is a little book on Santorini, and he sent me a rather long note, so I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. But he writes in here, "Hi, Ted. I'm an engineer by education and profession, and photography has been my self-taught hobby since about 1981. My photography has gone through three periods. The first 20 years were about accumulating yellow boxes of Kodachrome images, and the last 20 years have been digital. There was a gap in the middle. Digital photography began for me in 2006 and was exciting in part because I could do more things with the pictures. So when, after visiting Santorini in the spring of 2022, I realized I had enough material to make another book. The layout is simple, one image per page, in part because I like it that way, and in part because using Lightroom's book module is like trying to put down an insurrection. I put a lot of effort into the grouping, sequencing, and pairing images, and that, in my mind, is a big part of what makes a book special, just like an album more than just a song. That trip ignited a real interest in what I like to call streetscapes. It doesn't seem like architectural photography or street photography are quite the right terms for what I do. I hope that you enjoy the book, and I very much appreciate your time looking it over." So Jim, this is really nicely done. I have never been to Santorini, but every time I see pictures from people who have been with these rich blues and the white buildings and stuff, it makes me want to go. And so I'm sure it's a very beautiful place. Your book is wonderful. What's interesting to me is the work that Jim was doing in our zine workshop was completely different, and he's got a big range to what he's capable of doing, and I really like to see that. Funny comment about the book module, and we've talked about this. I have no idea why there is a book module in Lightroom still. It's best to be avoided unless you like having your hands tied behind your back while you're trying to eat barbecue. I don't know. It's a weird analogy, but yeah, you have no control. And the quality on here is fine. I think the book looks nice. It's just there's no design control at all in whatever you're doing. And I don't know. There's a lot that's labeled in here, and I don't know if that's the book module putting text on things, but I could do without the chapters being labeled on every image. The images are great. The sequencing is fantastic. Jim, you really did do a nice job on this. I love it. The way you have this divided up right now is you have little glimpses, details, doors. You kind of group things by subject, and they tend to be object oriented. One thing I would challenge you to do on this would be to look at your work in maybe more of a geometrical context or more of a color context, and you can be more obtuse about titling each chapter or each section. And the reason I say that is because I think your work is really good, and I'm pretty sure the viewer is going to pick up on what it is that they're seeing. And so maybe mixing the doors in with other things, maybe mixing in stairs with other things. I mean, I think there's a lot of geometry in the photographs that you've got, and it would be interesting to just kind of scramble this up a little bit and see what else plays to it. But anyway, it is nicely done. And I know that Lightroom's a bummer when you're dealing with the book module, and we've already talked about that in the Zine class, but not recommended for people. I think that there are better options that are suited for more design choices that one could do. But anyway, when Jim finishes his zine, no pressure, Jim, but when you finish your zine, send it in and I will share that as a follow-up to this. But I love Santorini. This is a great project. Anyway, awesome work today. I love it when I'm 4 for 4. Everything in here was excellent. I will link up to everybody in the show description, so make sure you check people out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, later.